Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thinking right out here in the lab. My voice is a little scratchy right now. Well, I do what I do for you. I gotta get something to drink. Excuse me. All right, excuse me. I had to wet my whistle, get my voice back. Now, where was I? From the beginning. Welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thinking right out here in the lab where I do what I do for you. I got something nice for you today. I got to stick to the book. I got a good lesson for you. I'm going to break them down in increments. Good information. So let's go. You can call it now P Funk Thinking Right, the History Channel. I'm about to give us some information about us. Let's go. Should be fun. Rightism, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's a message in the story for life. I give life lessons. You tune in and receiving them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right Thinker's mission, and that's what I'm on, is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right Thinkers way of life through mental and spiritual discipline, practice daily, will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. See where we're going with this? Let's get there together. So I ask you the question, do you know you? It's rhetorical, but if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. I appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself. And to my yacht, be true. Ooh, boy, this is a bad book here, okay? I'm just on page 36. And I done jumped over the slavery part purposely, okay? But this is how they used to pack us in the ships back in the day. Like sardines. Human beings treated like sardines. And this is the most disturbing part. This was the auction block of human beings like cattle, like fruit, like animals. And they did this. And now they feel bad, so they say. But I digress. Moving on. So now I'm at the point where we're at 36. Let's talk about the history, right, thinkers? Let's talk about, I got a few topics. What kind of people would enslave another people? And in order to keep a people enslaved, you have to take away their history and their identity, aka knowledge of self. See where I'm going with this? So let's talk about it. Now, whether we care to admit it or not, slavery formed the bedrock on which our current world, right now, the economy is built on. It surely explains, in part, but the social and political frictions and misunderstandings between world's white and colored people, aka black, to this very day. Perfect example. They want to make America great again. For them, that's when America was great. Okay? Need I say more? Pay attention. Pay attention. Hand in hand with the enslavement of African people came what? The destruction of African civilization and history and personal identity and the loss of their culture, which the Europeans would later say never existed. Yeah, this is history. Okay, and we had to deal with this. This is, you see that I got some dates for you coming up, but watch this. Dr. Clark made the following remarks on that particular subject. Remember John Henry Clark, my teacher? This is what he says. There has been a deliberate destruction of the African culture. And the records relating to said culture. This destruction started with, you ready? This started with the first invaders of Africa. I just gave that lesson. It continued through the period of slavery and the colonization system, the colonial system, excuse me. And guess what? It continues today on a much higher and deeper, but a more dangerous level. Why? They instituting ignorance. They promoting ignorance for us to not know who we are. So me trying to teach us who we are bothers them. Why? Move on. It continues to this day, and what? There are now attempts at the highest academic level to divide African history and their culture within Africa in so much manner that, watch this, the best it can be claimed for Europeans. They want to take credit for our stuff. Or at the very least, the Asians, they ain't too bad, but they do what they do. But that is the main purpose of what? Hamitic and Semitic hypothesis in in relationship to African history. You got the Hamites, remember Ham, Shem, and Japheth, the three different nationalities from the same man. Moving on, but that's the concept. Okay, we supposed to have been Ham's kids, the offspring. We cursed. Moving on, got the story. Moving on. But the manipulation of the African history has been so thorough that many people right there to this day mistakenly believe Egypt is not even in Africa. What the what? It is what? It is as if Egypt has just mysteriously detached itself from the continent and floated off to be a nebulous place called what? The Middle East. And my man said, Dr. Clark, what the hell is the Middle East? And where the hell is the Middle East? Moving on. But the ridiculousness of this issue is mind-boggling, particularly when what? One considers that there are islands in the Mediterranean and the Atlantic. You got Greece, you got Corsica, you got England, and guess what? They are physically separate from Europe, but are still what? Considered part of Europe because of the race, white people, okay? And this has all been going on in part of the European continent, and they ain't even connected. Any attempt to separate Egypt from Africa is an attempt to what? To disassociate what our African people from the Nile Valley and to deny the role that the African people played in what? Influencing Western, aka Europe, culture and civilization. The reason why the Europeans got a big hatred for us, I found out that the Moors ran them for 700 years. So they got a problem with black people. Moving on. But they knew the black people they got a problem with was educated black people. So they wanted to make the what? Other black people what? Ignorant. So they never had to worry about being enslaved to the black ignorant people again. Moving on. And there currently exists, watch this, there currently exist hundreds of examples of what? Africans having lived in Europe. Europe is a black, Europa is the black female goddess, okay, a queen. So Europe is named after a black woman. Did y'all know that? But they are often ignored. There was Pushkin in Russia back in the day. You got Hannibal in Italy. Left y'all a bunch of black people. You got Beethoven in Germany. And you got Aesop in Greece. All known black people, watch this, but have been portrayed as white. Okay? Despite evidence. Evidence to the contrary. Proof that they were black people. But here we go. The Moors. Remember I told you about them? I forgot about them. That's why the hatred for us black people is so bad, because of the Moors who occupied Spain and Portugal for more than 700 years. Long time. And but what they did, 350 here, but I know it was 700. But in during that time, they didn't enslave them, they educated them. Just like we did the Greeks. Moving on. And there was a strong African presence in ancient Britain. Okay. People of African descent have had a major impact on European culture for hundreds of years. And yet, no one asked whether the Europeans was black. And it was. Diop, Sheikh Anthony Diop, once stated that cultural alienation has been used as a number one weapon from the white man of denominations for thousands of years. But the full impact of his statement didn't hit me until I visited the Museum of Man in Paris. What happened there? While in the lobby of this museum, I was taken aback by two signs directing patrons to an exhibit on the upper level. One sign read, Black Africa. The other side read, White Africa. I would love to go see that exhibit. And both signs, watch this, had arrows pointing opposite directions. You can't serve two masters. If this one's saying that and this one's saying that, one of them is wrong. If they're not saying the same thing, one of them is wrong. I'm just saying, that's how it goes. That's just the way it is. I got a little bit more information for you. This should be quick. I got a few more paragraphs, but this is good information, I think. See, I was interested in the last one, so I'm trying to give you what I think you like. So let me give you this lesson right quick. Now, why is color used to denote racial diversification? Okay, on one continent, but not on the other. The Europeans ain't questioning about being nothing other than Europeans. With everything we do in Africa is black. At this moment, there are hundreds of thousands of Africans from the continent and the Caribbeans who currently reside where? In Europe. But no one never hears the term white Europe. Europe is just Europe. And black Europe. Never do that. J.A. Rogers, another prolific black writer, in his 3 volumes work, Sex and Race, cites what? That the existence of numerous Africans who lived in Europe as kings and queens, popes and saints. Their very presence justified what? The use of the term Black Europe. They could have called it Black Europe if history were to be recorded fairly. There lies the problem, right there. And this the next paragraph, I'm going to break that down for you. I'm going to end the lesson on that note. But history is not fair, or haven't been. Why? Neither is it always true. Pay attention. History is often told from the what? Perspective of who? The victor of any conflict, and always at the expense of what? The victim. Ramses, the big war he had. It ended in a stalemate. He took victory for it. Claimed the victory. Okay, so that happens. And you got the French general, y'all know him, Napoleon Bonaparte. Once asked, what is history? But what? A fiction agreed upon. That means a lie that everybody gonna go with. Sound familiar? Now, Winston Churchill, former Prime Minister of Great Britain, was heard to state emphatically what? That history is going to be kind to the Britons. Why? Because I'm going to write it. He who got the power to pen got the power to decide what get written and what don't. They took stuff out of the Bible, this, on the other. So again, the ones in control get to decide what go on. We're dealing with that right now. You got a guy who want to be a dictator. He's going to show you. He told you that's what he's going to do. Moving on. Last one, wrapping up. Again, I appreciate you tuning in. Hope you get the concept. I got more for you. Don't worry. Indeed, history has been very kind to who? Europeans. Not too kind to the Africans. Why is that? Like my man John Henry Clark said, by design. Because history have been very kind to the Europeans, the white man, because they have written it. They the ones in control. And in many instances, it has been what? The fiction, aka lie, that's agreed upon that they perpetrate. Because of global system of what? Miseducation, which currently exists to this day, and I agree, the average person honestly believe what? That civilization began in Europe with the white man. Because this is what he tell you. And that the rest of the world waited what? In darkness. But we found him in the caves. He got the etchings on the walls of the cave, not us. We brought writing, mathematics, science, astrology. No, we're going to get there, but that's what I'm saying. So for them to think that they can just dismiss all that when you can't hide that, that's a fact. And watch this. But they started the world, everybody's waiting in darkness for the Europeans to bring them to the light. They was in the dark age. We had Renaissance. I mean, we had the recurrence of knowledge being circulated again. When they came into the picture, we had already had institutes of knowledge. We had already had everything we needed, and we was going to decline. Matter of fact, we got that when the Greeks came in. I got that information too. I'm just getting ahead of the lesson, but this is a history lesson. I'm trying to give you our history that they not going to tell you. And for more than 500 years, Europeans have controlled and manipulated the image and information of the world about us. Therein lies the problem. I'm telling you what I studied from us. They'll tell you something totally different. Why? Fiction that they agreed to use to keep us what? Ignorant of ourselves. That's why my job is to what? Get us to know thyself. That's what our ancients left us. And it's the reason why we starting to see more and more. So, right thinkers, that's the lesson for now. And in closing, may you all live to be 100. Me, 100 minus a day. So I never know that my right thinkers have passed away. But I'll be back with more information. This is getting good.